Test, 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 test. Hey guys, good morning. Monday morning, exciting Monday morning. I had a good weekend. I had a good Christmas. Hope you guys did too. We're kind of strapped for cash this year, so we didn't really do gifts other than planning on getting a puppy eventually in a couple, maybe like in a month. But I had a little bit of a Christmas gift from you guys. I sold 8 units on the portrait drawing course, and I really appreciate it. It was really exciting to see those come in because I get notifications every time somebody buys one. So and it makes like a cash sound, like a register, like a ka-ching. So usually I'll sell like maybe 1 or 2 a day, but on Christmas it was 8. I had 8 of them, and I was just tripping out. I was like really excited. So I really appreciate it, guys. And so let's get started today. Actually, let me check the chat. Let's see. Where's my cursor? Where's my mouse? There it is. So I got the I got the screen up on across the room with the chat up now. What's up, Sacktown, Jade, Chris, Starred, and Booing? I can't. Myler. Sorry, I'm gonna trash everybody's name. Sorry. Oh, you bought it. Chris bought the drawing course. Nice, last night. Cool. Thank you so much. Um, it says I don't understand English, but French subtitles are available and very correct. Nice. I know they're getting really good nowadays, right, with the translation. That's awesome. Paleo, hi. What's up? Good to see you guys. Let's see. And yeah, so I really appreciate it. It's really exciting to like make a product that I put so much effort into it and so much of my energy and thought, and just trying to make something that is really good and as best I can, and to see it actually start to take off a little bit and people purchasing it and liking it, and it just, man, I feel so good. It feels so much better than the day job. So I'm trying to do that transition right now between making art the thing that makes the living versus the other things. So hopefully it works out. So today, again, I'm using the same Pro Art newsprint. Again, this is smooth newsprint, and that's why it gives that really nice kind of a soft, feathery look to it. And this one's by Pro Art, smooth newsprint. You can get it off of Amazon, 𝔸𝕟𝕒𝕥𝕠𝕦𝕙, Jerry's Artorama. There's other brands too. The Strathmore is a little bit darker in value, which isn't bad because then you can actually do like a little bit of a white highlight or something like that with a white charcoal or a white pencil. So it just depends on what you want to do. But anyway, I prefer this one here, a little bit lighter in value. Let me make sure I got this guy up on the screen. And and the pencils, duh. The pencils I'm using is the 𝔻𝕗𝕐𝕐. This one is the 1710B. It comes in a pack. They used to be really good, and then they went through a phase where they weren't good anymore. They were like breaking a lot, and there was a lot more grit and little kind of like stones inside the 𝔻𝕗𝕐𝕐. It seems like they're getting better again, so the quality is starting to go back up. But unfortunately, right during the time that the quality dropped off, like years ago, I bought a lot because I just like stored up a bunch, and I'm trying to get through them all still. I think this might be my last pack finally, and then I'll start buying the newer ones. But I hear from my friends that the quality is starting to go back up to the way it was. I like the old ones. They used to have like the gold and a little gold band around the end. I like those. That's when they were like the best. But anyway, so today we're going to continue on this one from Friday. And again, like when you do the lay-ins and you take a break and you come back, you see all the mistakes. So now we're going to make our adjustments as we before we go into the value. And my plan, I was thinking about this morning what like the vision for it, like what I want it to look like. And I think what I want to do is basically when I fill in the values, I'm going to keep everything on the perimeter really, really light in value. And then I'll get really, really much more darker as I go into the center of the portrait. So the eyes will be really dark. The cast shadows and stuff will be like sharper edges and things like that. And then as we move outwards, it's gonna kind of like soften and kind of fade down. I think I'll do that. And then all that hair, all the texture will be in the borders of where the light and dark meet. I think that's the plan anyway. So right now we're gonna walk around it and make our adjustments before we go into the values, because that's pretty much the steps. First you do the lay-in, and then you come back and make your final rundown, and then you do the values. So let's see. Good morning, everybody. Eric, what's up? Sacktown J, do the course. Oh yeah, I added. Sacktown J, he says appreciate you adding a video to the course. Thank you. Yeah, I added another portrait. So I'll do that too, like periodically. I think I'll start adding on stuff. Like I was thinking about adding on another video on eye structure and drawing the eye. So look for that in the future. So when you buy the anatomy course, the facial anatomy drawing course, I'll be adding onto it as time goes on. There's no like set schedule, but just like a little extra, just to keep people interested. Because sometimes you buy, like I know when I buy a drawing course or any course, really, like the next step is to actually do it, and that's the hardest part. The easiest part is buying it, and the hardest part is actually watching and doing the exercises along with the person. Like I bought a fitness course for stretching, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get so flexible. I'm gonna get so flexible. I'm gonna do this every day. And I watched like 3 or 4 videos, and then I never did it again. I think I still have it on my old laptop somewhere. I should probably pull that out. But I think most times when I buy something like that, like a course, the motivation to actually go through it is that's the hardest part. I wish I could buy that. I wish I can buy the motivation. So I'm trying to give you guys the motivation a little bit, like adding on a little extra stuff. So anyway, so let's get back to the drawing. Okay, so if you remember last time, I really messed up on the initial very start of the drawing. I had the angle way off. I actually did the opposite. I flipped it for some reason. In this case, I think the eye is off of the head tilt. So what we did, we started with a circle, and then we did the tilt right through the brows to find the angle of the head tilt. And using my pencil, going through either the brows or through the eyes. In her case, I went through the eyes because you can't see the eyebrows very well. And then I found that angle and it came down. And I can see right now I need to bring this far side eye down a little bit to make sure it's on the same tilt line. So I'm going to check my angle. Probably a little bit even still. I have it on a too much of a steep angle. And then what I want to do is make sure everything is on the same tilt line. So all the features line up, bottom of the nose, right here, to the corners of the mouth, and so on. So let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and change that far side eye a little bit, basically just bringing it down. And we're not going to see much information on this eye anyway. I'm going to let it fall into the background probably. So I'm going to just do like a basic. I softened her gaze a little bit too because she's in sunlight. So she's usually when people are in direct sunlight, they're going to have like a harsher look to their expression. I'm going to change the place where she's looking at, because in the photograph she's like looking really hard to the corner, but I'm going to soften that up a little bit. I'm going to bring it over. looks like I need to bring the mouth forward quite a bit actually. So if I take a vertical line going straight up and down with my pencil right on the outside of the far side of the mouth, so like right here, so I'm going to take the pencil and come to this point right about here and see where it lines up, and it should be a little bit further out, it should be about right here. So we're going to bring those over. Maybe zoom in a little bit. No, I'll leave it. I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to mess it up. So yeah, Christmas Day, that was a lot of fun. Actually, the Christmas Eve, I went to bed and I woke up a couple of times. I just can't sleep lately. I'm just worrying about like different stuff, like getting set up here in the new city, and I think I'm just anxious a little bit, like with the big move and stuff. And it's not that bad. It's just like I just keep waking up every once in a while, and then one time the phone woke me up because I still had the notifications on from the drawing course on Gumroad. So somebody had bought it like my time. I think it was like 3 in the morning, and it made that sound and it woke me up, and I thought that was kind of funny. It was like, oh, nice little Christmas present early in the morning. And then throughout the day, I just kept getting more hits, and I was tripping out. I couldn't believe it. I would yell from the other room to my girlfriend like, got another one. So it's a lot of fun. It's like, I can't believe it. We're up to 5. It's 6. We got 6 now. I think it totaled out 8. I sold 8 of the drawing course. That was so much fun. That looks better already. So I brought that upper lip out a little bit, not too much, and I thinned her out quite a bit. So I'm going to try to add a little bit more volume to the face. And of course, since I moved that lip out, I got to move the cheek out, so that's going to help with that quite a bit. This is actually a pretty complicated portrait. I didn't think at first, when I don't know why, sometimes I think like, oh yeah, that's fine, and then I realize, oh my gosh, this is really. So this is an advanced portrait drawing course. No, this is an advanced portrait drawing stream for you guys. Hopefully it doesn't frustrate you guys too much, because I keep making mistakes on it too. Let's see. So how I check the corner of the mouth on this side, on the far side, I'm going to do the same thing for that chin, and just see how it lines up with the nose. So a lot of times with a portrait, if you use a vertical line, they also call it a plumb line, basically just straight up and down, and you try to relate different areas to other areas. So you can use this line to see where a corner of the mouth relates to the nose, relates to an eye. So it's sort of like, it is, you know how like some people draw with a grid system, they draw out the squares on the paper, and then you can see where everything lines up really, really easily. Well, this is like a dirtier version of that, where you're using this vertical line to see where everything lines up in relationship to each other, and it really helps a lot. And after a while, it starts to help train your eye, so you won't even have to hold this up most of the time. You can just sort of like track your eye over. But I haven't drawn for quite a bit on a regular basis because of the move and stuff, so I'm still kind of trying to get into the groove. But that's a really good technique, using the pencil as a measuring tool. Either you can use it like a pencil and like your thumb going up and down, so if you're measuring, like the tip of the nose will be on the pencil, the tip, and then maybe the chin will be somewhere down here, and then you compare it to the length of something else. So you can kind of do this and that, and find the comparative measurements. A lot of times, and a couple of model friends of mine, they would tell me like it's so weird when they first started at the art school, because everybody's like this, pointed at them, doing this, squinting with one eye while they're up on the stage. Let's see. I'm gonna move her, the underside plane, you can see the 𝔻𝕉𝕐𝕐𝕐 fat pad is really heavy and right underneath the chin bone basically. So I'm gonna bring that out. Trying to decide how I want to. I keep trying to make her thinner. I gotta like stick. It's because I'm not used to drawing big people like this, so I gotta like pay attention to what I'm doing and draw what I see versus what I think I know. It's hard to let go of what you know sometimes. I was talking about that with the 𝔻𝕗𝕐𝕐 last time. Like, it's really good to draw, learn the 𝔻𝕗𝕐𝕐 method, but at the same time, at a certain point, you gotta like kind of let go of it a little bit so you can get the likeness of the person. But definitely learn the 𝔻𝕗𝕐𝕐𝕐. You gotta start somewhere, and that's a good place to start. And we have this kind of form shadow on the cheek. Their cheek shadow lines up straight across to the upper lip, about right here. And this will fall right into that cast shadow that we have. So I can break that line a little bit and kind of blend those two kinds of shadows together. So we have the cast shadow, and then we have a form shadow. And I can make that edge right here a little bit softer. Let's see, and her cast shadow under the neck, kind of want to change that a little bit. Let's see, play with the shape. So this is a hard cast shadow right here, and this is all going to be filled in with value, and then we'll come in and kind of play with that reflective light that you see. So you have light coming off the chest, bouncing back up into this whole area of shadow, and then allowing you to see some of the forms. So I'm going to play with that a little bit later when I get into the values. Let's see. Let's change this shape of the earring a little bit too. That's going to be really soft. That's going to I'll probably even just break that line a little bit so it sits in the background a little bit more. Because I don't think I'll bring value into the background really. I'm going to keep it just within the portrait. Let's see. Maybe I can move up a little bit. I don't want my head to cut off the screen, but let's do that. All right. And you see some of these shadows from the hair. This is where you have a lot of opportunity to design different shapes. Let's see. So I'm just gonna try to, like, this edge right here, I'm gonna try to design interesting little kind of shapes. There's gonna be like a little section right here where you can see through the hair, because the hair kind of like, her bangs are lined up pretty well with the eyebrows. And we come over here. Actually, let's make this a little bit further up, and then we come down. I got like the zigzag kind of thing going on. So I'm going to do what's called a single tonal mass, and basically I'm going to go through the entire portrait, filling everything in that's dark in value or in shadow. So shadows and dark. So the hair for sure, even in the light side, I'm just going to cover it all in one value, and it's going to be a light value. And oh yeah, it's just CSI. That's when I was talking about the different lines that you have. You have like the C curves, you have the S curves, and then the straights, like down here in the lips. So let's erase that. So I'm going to start on this side and move my way over. So we're just going to fill it in. I'm using the side of the pencil, and as I'm pulling down, I'm rotating the pencil at the same time. Or I should say, as I pull down and then I lift up, then I rotate it ever so slightly, and then pull back down again. So it's sharpening the pencil basically. So got a lot of area to cover, and this is like a really quick way to cover it using the side of the pencil. And that's why usually I sharpen my pencil really really sharp this way, and then a lot of the ◕𝕗𝕗 showing. And so when I come to this stage of the drawing, I can cover a lot of surface area pretty quickly. If you ever watched somebody like Jeff Watts draw, like really fast, like a 20-minute lay-in, you'll see how this really plays into the how to draw like a quick portrait. His dexterity is like off the charts. So it's so much fun to watch that guy draw. So we're going to fill this whole area in. And most of these are in some sort of like dark value, so I'm just going to fill them all in. And then there's like a couple that are pretty light in value, and I'll just erase those. I'll pull out that value later. But for right now, I'm just going to cover all of this. And I think I'll do the earring as well. There's some texture in the earring I think I can play with. I can kind of manipulate a little bit. So I probably won't do much more detail down here. I kind of want it to fade out as it goes down. So it's going to be more line heavy than value heavy as we get further outwards. So I like that look where it's like an unfinished drawing, as you know. Most of my drawings are unfinished. Let's see. So now we have this, you see this border that, actually let's go into the face. I almost forgot to do the cast shadows in the face. So let's fill those in as well. And the upper lip. I'm going to put some value in the bottom lip as well. Maybe slightly, just slightly different value. Let's see. I'm going to put a little bit more value, not heavy, just kind of like scumbling, as it's called, into the lower portion of the face, and then on this far side, so we can get what's called the egg effect. And most of the light's going to hit right here on the cheek and on the nose, and then as we come down the face, it's going to be a little bit less bright. It's going to be a little bit more value in the light side. And as you can see, I don't have Jana here today to help me. She's working hard in the other room. I'm sure she might have even popped in already. I haven't checked. Let's see. What's up, guys? Saman, Patrick, Arthur, Miggy Wiggy. That's a great name. Love it. Uh, what's up? Oh, that's awesome. Miggy Wiggy. We're still trying to. Jan and I are still trying to figure out a name for the dog, the puppy that's coming soon. And somebody, I think somebody said Reilly, like the Reilly Method, and we're actually considering that one. That's on the table as well. I think we got Cash is another one. What's the other names? I'm trying to remember. I just keep thinking of Cash, Reilly, Potato. I don't know. I offered up Zorn because I like Anders Zorn, the painter, but she's like, Sounds weird, I guess. I like that name though, Zorn. Okay, so next I'm going to go into the darker areas. So this is going to be pretty much left alone, I think. And then I'm going to work the edges here and the hair. So I'm going to look for the darker areas of the hair that's like actually in shadow and try to build that up. So this is going to be like a little bit of like how to draw hair, especially very complicated hair with a lot of texture to it. And anything that's hard to draw, if you can get it done right, it is going to look super beautiful. So hopefully this works out. So I'm looking for the form of it, just the overall form of the hair, instead of like looking at the individual strands or curls right now. Right now I'm just looking for the light side and then the dark side, and then from there I'll go into more detail. So like you can kind of like use your eyes and squint down and at the portrait, at the reference, and you can see how the light is strong up here, and then there's like a form underneath it, like a darker area, creating like volume. And usually it seems like when I go into the values, for the videos, it takes a lot more time than the initial lay-in. So I don't know if I'll be able to finish this one today. I might make this like a 3-part series or something. So we might have to continue with this tomorrow, depending on how far we get. So we'll see though. There is definitely a lot of edges to work on in this one. Or maybe I'll just do what I can today on the stream and then finish it tonight, so we can get to something different tomorrow. That's probably what I'll do. We got a nice curl that's going to come out right through here. Let's see. I'm going to cut this cast shadow out. I know I see it in the reference, but I'm changing things a little bit. So I want a certain feel to the face, and I feel like that hard line just cutting through everything is distracting. So I'm going to do some old-timey Photoshop and adjust those edges. So now we are fully in the awkward stage. This is the awkward teenage stage of the drawing. So let's just get used to it and accept it and just keep working, keep moving forward. So if you're doing this at home and you're at this stage, you're probably freaking out a little bit like I am. And I always freak out a little bit, especially on live drawings, but I know that it's part of the process, and I just gotta wait. I just gotta keep moving forward on things. Let's see, we got some curls over here. I just wanted to put some in to make me feel better. I should wait, but I just want to see something a little bit more interesting and pretty for right now. Okay, so now let's go into the face and kind of reestablish some of the darks and just kind of walk around and look for edges and things. Let's see. So let's go into the eyes, really get into the pupil, make that pupil really, really nice and dark. And I added a highlight, I see. I don't see one in the photo reference, but it looks like I decided last time that I wanted a highlight. That's a good decision. You can always fill it in if you don't like it. Doesn't hurt anything to try that one, that's for sure. There's going to be a hard edge right here from the bottom edge of the eyebrow. And you see the nasal labial fold. I'm going to bring, I don't know, do I like that? I don't like the shape I have. It's kind of saggy looking. I'm going to shrink her nose a little bit. I remember I made her nose bigger. And I didn't fix it because I liked it. But that changes the shape right here. There we go. So now I'm going to do some of these midtones, and I'm going to sneak up to the highlight on the cheek. So I'm going to build that up, and then, actually I covered it a little bit, so I can pull out that value. And I'm kind of just going to walk up to the edge of that highlight. Like that. And I use my finger to kind of smudge it, kind of push that 𝗙𝕗 into the paper a little bit. And when I do that, it pushes the value down, or pulls the value out, so I got to put it back in. So I often talk about how it's like a push and pull kind of a thing. And you put the value in, you pull it out, and then you're like, oh, I pull too much out. You put more in, and you're like, oh, it's too dark. it's just a back and forth fight during the transition period of a drawing. And this part right here, so you can see on the reference, it's a little bit of a harder edge, right where that cheek sits. So we have a plane change. You have the cheek, the top plane of the cheek, and if you were like a little bug walking across the surface, you would come around, and that's why I curved that cast shadow to show that curve. And you come down, and then you'll drop, and then the jawbone on the mandible kind of flares out a little bit, and you got some muscle there, and you have your zygomatic bone above it. And so there's this little indentation right there. So I'm going to try to push that a little bit. I'll probably go back and forth with it as I do the drawing until I find the balance that I like. But I like to show that structure and that form of the cheek. So sometimes when you're in this like awkward teenage stage of the drawing and you're kind of lost, maybe like if you feel a little bit lost, this is a technique I learned at Watts Atelier. 𝔻𝕗𝕥𝕥𝕐𝕐. She's a great painter and draftsman. 𝔻𝕗𝕥𝕥𝕐𝕐. She told me this technique, or this thing that you can do if you feel like the painting or the drawing is just scattered. It's, you know, it's broken. You're lost in the woods, kind of a thing. And she says just focus on one area and bring it up to a real nice shape, or just make one little area right on the money pretty, and then you use that kind of like it's like having a little bit of a success. like you got one area that looks cool, and then from there you can use that as like a driver to move on to other places. And it's kind of like a psychological thing, and it's actually helped me a lot when I get into the lost in the woods on a drawing or a painting. And then I'll be like, okay, all right, I just gotta focus. I'm gonna focus on this nose for a little bit and really make it look pretty, make it look cool. And then once I do that, I feel like successful. Like, okay, all right, I got this. And then I just move on to the next thing. So that helps a lot if you get all frustrated and lost. All right, let's move over to this side and try to turn that form, which has really thick, strong cheeks. And I want to show that a little bit. I might do a little bit of a cross hatching, but not too much. I don't think I need a lot. A lot of times I'll put the cross hatching in, and then I'll use my finger to kind of blend it out and lose some of it. It just might be my personality or the way I like to draw. Like, draw something in, then pull it out, draw something in, pull it out. That might frustrate you to no end. I don't know. It depends on your personality as well, like how you like to draw. But you don't have to do that. Certainly, I wouldn't tell you that you would have to do that. It depends on how you want to draw. At this point in the drawing anyway, it's very, this depends upon like the personality of the artist or what they prefer to do. The initial lay-in, when you're doing all the scientific stuff, like the anatomy, it's pretty much set. I mean, you can deviate from it for sure, but there's less deviation when you're doing portraits. But once you get into like the shadow portion of it, like the edges, that's where I think that's where a lot of the personality of the person comes out, is in the edges and the shadows and the texture. There's so much. So you can see I'm really focusing on this cheek for right now. I'm going to leave that for now and move on to another spot, because I don't want one spot to come to a full render until I can get everything else around it up to it. I got it to look a little bit better, and now I feel better about the drawing in general. So like I said, now I can use that little success that I think I have at least, and then move on to another area. So this cast shadow is going to be a little bit darker up in that corner of the cast shadow, and then as it comes out and becomes wider, this cast shadow becomes wider, there's more light reflecting into that cast shadow, so the shadow will be a little bit lighter than up in this little area where it's tucked in and hidden from all the reflective light. And you can also make the edges of that cast shadow a little bit darker, so it gives like a hollow feeling to the shadow. Bring some value into the chest area, because I don't want it completely white. It's going to jump off the page way too much. And plus this gives me something to work with if I want to pull out a highlight, like to show maybe, well, you can't see any anatomy on her, Like I don't, yeah, you can't see the clavicle, you can't see the sternum, you can't see the muscle, but you can see a little bit of some form of the cylinder and stuff, like right here. So she's got like this big curve, maybe a little bit of a highlight that runs down there. So we'll play with that later. Let's go back up into the face. Let's work on the nose a little bit. Actually, let me clean my hand. This gets so dirty. Let's see. Let me check, see what's going on with the stream. Yeah, I've done, somebody asked me, I think they're asking me if I did digital sketch, and I've done it before. I got my tablet packed in front of me in the box. I haven't pulled it out yet. But yeah, that's one of the things I was telling you guys I wanted to get into. And I wrote down the name of an artist. He has a program, like he has a course, a digital drawing course that I want to do. And it's funny. So I'll let you know how that goes if I actually buy it, and then second, if I actually do it. Because like I said, it's easy to buy it, but it's way harder to actually go through the course. But yeah, I definitely want to do more digital stuff. That'd be really fun to like, maybe like one day I do like a hard, you know, like the charcoal thing, and then the next day I do like a digital drawing on live stream. And you can watch me you can watch me die on the digital drawing. You'd probably laugh at me. That would actually be kind of fun. Let's see. Someone said it takes me a year to write a comment. My fear of looking like an idiot kicks in hard. For me, it's like it kicks in hard after I press send, not before. Like I start to critique like hardcore, especially for like if I'm posting a drawing like on Instagram, like oh, this is okay, I'm gonna post this. This is gonna be good, and then I'll post it, and then I'll look at it. Immediately, I'll hate it. Like I'll see everything that's wrong with it, and I'm just like and I'll erase it. Got to do it over again. No, it's so weird. I hate it. I hate that self-doubt. Let's see. Let's hit this edge really sharp underneath the nose with the cast shadow. And I'm going to change the shape of it too, because you can see how the cast shadow underneath her nose is wrapping around the philtrum, and it shows like those two little cylinders, kind of like shapes on her upper lip. So I'm going to adjust that. I'm just going to take that cast shadow out and come back in. Let's fill in the philtrum a little bit. So it's curving around. It's kind of like a nice little cylinder. I'll do some cross hatching. And then the cast shadow. And then the far side. So I did that really dark, and then now I can use that value that I put in as a reference point to build up the hierarchy of the values in relationship to it. Where's the highlight? So I'm going to build up the value in the nose and sneak up on the highlight. Kind of get to the border of it. Sometimes it's better to kind of sneak up on the highlight than to put all the value in and pull it out, because oftentimes you can't pull all the value out that you put in. Like right here, let's see if we can get lucky. Yeah, that looks okay. I like the feeling, the texture that it gives, like the surface, if I do a little bit of cross hatching up to the highlight. And she has a really strong highlight in this area as well. And it kind of fades out down here, and it's crisp on the bone of on the nose, but as we get down to the fleshy area, it kind of transitions softer. So here it's going to be a little bit more of a harder edge, and that's because we're on top of the bone of the nose. And then down here we have the fleshy area of the cheek starting, and the side plane of the nose, so that's going to be a little bit softer edge. So the basic idea is with cast shadows especially, so like the cast shadow or even form shadows, they get harder edge when they go across the surface that covers a bone. So like across the chin or the cheekbone, those edges will be a little bit harder, the edge a little bit harder than another area that's like softer, like in the cheek or the lips. Did I just get charcoal on my face? I think I did. I'm always like leaving the room and then walking around outside, and then I come back in and I see it in the mirror and I got like smudges on my face. Let's see, I'm going to put some cross hatching around this edge down here. Where should I go next? Let's see. I'm going to squint down a little bit to kind of see the values. So the hair, the shadow on the face is going to be a little bit crisper in the edge. There we go. She has a nice highlight that runs across right through the orbit of the eye and the upper eyelid. So I'm going to kind of build up a value around that highlight. Maybe pull some out right next to that, underneath the border of the eyelid, or I should say eyebrow, right here. I'm trying to think and talk. All of a sudden it just got really difficult. There we go. I'm trying to show like that ball kind of a shape to the eye socket. Then we got our highlight, and this kind of gets soft right here. And let's go back to the mouth area. So I'm gonna, actually, you know what? Let's try to look for some occlusion shadows. So the occlusion shadow is the shadow that doesn't have any reflective light filling it in. So it's going to be the darker areas of the shadows. So in the corners of the mouth are going to be really dark. That's one place. Maybe right up underneath the lip over here. Inside the creases, right where cast shadows begin. Definitely the pupil area inside the eye. going to come on this far side of the cheek and bring some value into it to push it down, because it's popping forward now. Because we changed the value hierarchy a little bit in that area. So now we got to push that far side down, and can connect that dark value into the other shapes in the face, the other shadow shapes. Make this upper lip a little bit darker. Bottom lip as well. There's this nice highlight in this pocket right here in the corner of the nose. And then we have what's called the white roll, and that's on top of the upper lip. You have this area of superficial fat that runs the rim of the lips, especially on the upper lip, on the Cupid's bow. You can see it really well on her. It's called the white roll, and it's just an area, little anatomy area that has a lot of facial fat, and it creates this little ledge for the upper lip. So you can usually see some highlight on that area. And as you get older, that tends to disappear. So it's one of the signs of youthfulness. And I don't know if they do any plastic surgery to increase that or not, but it was definitely brought up as a discussion in one of the plastic surgery books that I have. They were talking about the white roll. I'll soften that transition a little bit on the upper lip. Let's see. And there's surface changes, there's plane changes on the lip, a lot of different changes. And so try to just think about walking on the surface of it, and it'll help you think of it like a more sculptural way. So I'm trying to think of it as I'm walking across the lips and I come down, and you can see a little variations, a little changes in value, little midtones. So there's like this little ledge right here, a little bit darker value that runs down on the bottom lip, and gives you also a little bit of a value change right here, and then the highlight will sit on top of that darker value. So you can get like this really nice juicy highlight, and then maybe some texture with the the lips. The bottom lip usually has like wrinkles in it, but you see like this little darker value I put in just underneath the highlight, and it sort of like supports it. It's like the highlight sits on top of that. And in the facial anatomy drawing course that I have, I talk about this in great detail. I don't want to do it here because I don't want to mess up the surface drawing, but if I was to draw a line over it, it would kind of flare out and be like an S curve running around the surface. But yeah, definitely check that out on the video, in the drawing course, if you want more information on that. Much of that drawing course is talking about facial expression and how the face ages, because it's so important to understand that most of the aging of our face comes from the fat pads. It comes from the ligaments, the relationship between the ligaments and the fat pads. The skin gets wrinkled a little bit too, but it's really the fat pads, because they start to lose their volume and they start to shift, and when they lose their volume, then the skin starts to droop. But the interesting thing about it is that the ligaments don't move, pretty much not at all. They're pretty much like little pins that kind of stick the surface to the bone, and that doesn't move. So then that's why you get like like the certain structure of the face. When you get older, you get like the sagging, you get the jowling, you get the different grooves in the face. It's like a shifting landscape as we age. It's really, I don't know, I thought it was so much, really insightful. It really helped me to understand how the surface of the face changes as we get older, and how to show that in a portraiture. Let's see, I'm changing the bottom lip a little bit. I had it kind of like soft and in, but I need to move that out. I'm going to use those straight lines in that area too. So I'm going to make the far side bottom lip like more boxy, like a little bit of a boxy, because there's so many curves. You got all these pretty curves on the upper lip, and then I think on the bottom, if I threw in like a little box, like just a little bit different kind of a shape, it'll add a little bit of a extra feeling to it, I think. Let's see, I can do a little cast shadow right here. Very subtle. And then the form shadow, and then a cast shadow again. Let me come up over here. It's not too much of a highlight there, but I was trying to like cut that shape a little bit different. I'm trying to decide if I want to change her expression. Maybe, I think I'll try to. Usually I like to like mess with the expressions a little bit, like try to add a little tension or just something, like something very subtle that most people may not even pick up on. They probably feel it, but they won't. You know, if you have somebody snarling, you're like, obviously there's something going on, but I like the more subtle little expressions. When you get down into this area, you get all kinds of different shifting forms. And it gets really nuanced. I feel like most of our expressions, like the really nuanced and really delicate expressions, probably come from the bottom portion. And you get the eyes, you get like, you know, wide eye or squinty eye, but I really feel like a lot of it's like right here. Like you can tell like when somebody's like kind of like anxious person in general, because they'll hold a lot of tension like right here. Like it's kind of like you can just feel the muscles kind of like tight in the face. Alright, I'm going to do more of those occlusion shadows. So I'm really going to pop that earring, and let's see, I'm going to work on the bottom of the neck a little bit too, because it needs some attention. Okay, I'm going to squint down and let those forms that are in the shadow disappear. And this is going to help me control the value structure in this area. Because I was like, I'm getting too hung up on the different forms in that shadow area right here. And I'm thinking about the structure too much. And so I'm just going to let go of that and squint down a little bit with my eyes. And what that does is it drops off half the information that my eyes can see. So now I'm just forced to look at the values. So now I can come in and just think about the shape versus the structure. Because I'm under the belief or what, because there seems to be like a debate between people who draw what they know and people who draw what they see. Some people say you should only look at shapes, and some people say you should know the anatomy. And I actually believe, like, why not do both? Like you need all the tools you can get. So, like, I knew the anatomy pretty well, and I knew the structure of the face, but now I'm switching to another tool in my toolbox, and I'm looking at shapes and value. So I don't know why people hold on to like one versus the other. I think they do themselves a disservice, or just make it harder. I don't know. Just use all the tools, man. There's a really good portrait drawing book that I got years ago before I was doing went to art school at 𝔻𝕗𝕗𝕗. I can't remember. It's called. It was like a head drawing something, but I can't remember the name of the artist. Really good portraits, and but he was like really against line drawing. I was like, what the heck? Like, he was talking all kinds of like how, you know, you shouldn't be drawing the lines. You should only draw the shadow shapes. And I'm like, okay. It's like, why not do both? Let's see. So you can see I'm trying to get that form down first, and then I'll come in and strategically put some structure in again. She's got a nice form shadow on that chin. And right up to the mandibular cutaneous ligament I was talking about, one of the ligaments I was talking about earlier. And then she has the jowling that hangs down. That would probably, yeah, that's the inferior jowl. And then we have superior over here, fat pad. More squinting. Squint, squint, squint. I still have to unpack. I'm still unpacking. I have boxes everywhere. It's so stressful. There's like so much to do still. I think we've been here in Austin, probably about going on 4 weeks, maybe? Maybe. I don't know. Time seems to be just kind of stopped a little bit. I like this cast shadow on this earring over here. It's not straight in the picture, but I think I'm going to make it a little bit of a straight edge, see if I like it. I'll probably hold it for a while and then change my mind. Okay, I just want to break from the face right now, so I'm going to play with the earring and the texture of that, and I think that'll give me a good respite. Is that the word? Respite, relax, a little safe area, and get away from the face and give my eyes a rest. Let's see, Simon, thank God I only post on Reddit. Instagram is like a big city in comparison to the small subs that I post my drawings in, and it helps that I'm under a different username. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, Reddit's awesome. I was on there for a little bit, but I haven't been on there for a while. Let's see, Simon, what made you want to become an artist? Is that question for me? Because sometimes I read them wrong. But if that's for me, I've always been drawing since I was a kid. I don't know anything. I don't know. Like, it's always been there. It's like this. let's see, maybe I can answer the question like why. I'll ask it differently then. So since I grew up with my mom's an artist, and we have a lot of artists in the family, and it was always something around that I was doing. But originally I wanted to become like a professional artist of some sort, like traditional like figures and portraits and things like this, right? But at the time I was like a teenager coming up, and then I was looking for art schools. This is before the internet, so there's no art school other than like, you go into like college. And so I took some classes, and they didn't teach how to draw faces. They were just teaching like these weird kind of like abstract stuff, and I don't know, it was just very disappointed. It was very disappointing, and I just sort of, I don't know, I just got frustrated with it. So I was trying to teach myself as best I could, and my mom had a few books. There wasn't that many books out there actually on how to, like the Loomis books weren't really, at least I didn't know of them. There weren't something that I would find in the art store really. I'm trying to remember. I think there's a lot of cartoon books, like how to draw cartoon faces and stuff. But generally, like, I was just trying to teach myself how to do it, and it was a huge struggle. And then I kind of accepted the lie that you can't make a living off of art, and so I decided I needed to like do something that I can make a living off of. So I decided on, for many reasons, but that's one of them. I decided on pharmacy. I was really good at chemistry and organic chemistry and trigonometry and geometry. Like I was really good at it, and that's probably because I really enjoyed it. Anything that I enjoy, I get pretty good at, versus like something I don't find interest in. So anyway, so I was looking at pharmacy, and I was like, man, I really, I like organic chemistry, so it just made sense. And I figured I could make a living working part-time as a pharmacist, and then I can just keep going with my art on my own. Because I was thinking like I wouldn't make a living with art. It's just something I do every day, so I was just going to keep doing that. And I needed a lifestyle that will allow me to spend a lot of time doing it. So pharmacy seemed like a good option. I learned a lot, that's for sure, about the healthcare system, how the body works, how drugs work in the body, how they make drugs, how they sell drugs, how they market drugs. So I learned a lot. And but the art was always there, and I always kept with me throughout art school, throughout working in the pharmacies, throughout my day jobs. I always kept like a little booklet, like a sketchbook, and I have stacks of them, like crazy stacks. And I don't want to get rid of them, but I don't know what to do. Like half of them are like sketches, like just doodles of heads and faces and different anatomy, because I was trying to teach myself like the anatomy as well. And we took anatomy courses in pharmacy school, which is actually, it was really eye-opening to have cadavers, like actual work on human bodies, like dissecting human bodies. That was a trip. That was wild. I feel so thankful to have that opportunity. It definitely helped as far as like an artist too, but that was a trip. So I did that in art school. That was a anatomy course, and it was really weird too, because it was a big building, the pharmacy, the school, and they had the gross anatomy floor was on the 13th floor, so that was kind of weird. And it was huge. They had like, I don't know, I would say probably like 30 cadavers in there in this giant room. And they would have like, I don't know, I'm probably getting into too much detail, but they would have like dissected parts of the bodies and stuff that we would study. it was really interesting, and I learned a lot. But throughout that entire time in pharmacy school, all those tests and lectures, I always had my little sketchbook, and I would be sketching in there, and I think that kept me sane. I think that saved me a little bit. But then once I got out of art school or pharmacy school, that's when I started following people on Facebook. This is about the time Facebook hit pretty hard for the first time in the general public, and I started following artists like I was following 𝔻𝕉'𝕒𝕐𝕗, I was following Colin Page, Jeff Watts. Eric Gist had a blog that I was following heavy, and so I started to see like, oh man, there's actually like schools out there, like art schools that teach this, but they're like private schools. They were called 𝔸𝕟𝕒𝕥𝕠𝕦𝕘𝕙. So that's when I started doing some research, and then there was a website that started. What was it called? Art Renewal Center, and they had a list of what they called approved 𝔸𝕟𝕒𝕦𝕐𝕗s. And then so I started with Ashland Atelier, I think that's what it was called. It was up in Oregon, and they had just closed shop at the time I was looking at them, but they were moving to Maui, and at that time I was in Kauai. So I actually took a flight, set up a time to meet with the owner, and as we were talking in his art studio, they were building the buildings for the students in the back, and there's all this construction noise and all this hustle and bustle, and it was a really cool school. But ultimately I chose Watts because I saw how much artwork they had like on the website and hanging on the walls. So that spoke a lot to me about, you know, when you see how good their art students get versus how good the teacher is. I mean, Jeff Watts is a master, right? But that is one thing, but then to see like his students are really good, so it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, this is, so you actually see the quality of the teaching at the school through the artwork of the students. So that's when I decided to go to Watts and move from Hawaii all the way to San Diego. And then from there it just became, okay, someday I want to become a professional artist. I'm around professional artists. I can see that this is actually a thing you can do. This is like, you know, I let go of that false idea that you can't make a living doing art, and so I've been pursuing it ever since. Ta-da! Long answer, man. Jeez. Let's see. I talk too much. That's crazy. Yeah, it's been a long road. And sometimes I'll get on the path to becoming a professional artist, I guess, if you want to call it that. I would lose faith here and there, and then I would give up basically for a while. I'll still be drawing and making art, but I would give up on the idea that I can make a living from it. But man, I gotta tell you, this past year with all the challenges, the thing that saved my ass the most is the art. And, like, financially, like, you know, losing jobs in California because of the vaccine mandates, and the thing that, you know, came and rescued the finances for me has been the artwork, and that just blew me away. And it's almost like I put the investment into something like years ago, and now it's starting to pay off. And man, yeah, it's been a crazy year, that's for sure. A lot of changes. Let's see, how long I've been drawing? About an hour 15. And yeah, this one's gonna take a while. I'll probably, I don't know, what do you guys think? I'll see what you guys say. Should I continue this one tomorrow, or should I just do a new reference tomorrow, and I can finish this one on my own tonight? What do you guys think? Continue part 3 or do a new drawing tomorrow? That's the question. Because this one's going to be a while, because I haven't gotten into the hair yet. And I'm still working on the forms of the face. because I'll probably I can go for another half hour, I think, on this stream, but I don't want to do like a 5-hour stream. That would be crazy. But I could divide it in half and do a part 3. This is part 2, or I can just do a new reference tomorrow. So what do you guys think? Let's see. Do I know the Barnstone method? No, I don't. I'll have to check that out. Barnstone. I'm going to type that in real quick so I don't forget. Barnstone method. Let's see. Barnstone. Oh, it's a Barnstone Studios. Yeah, I'll check that out later after the stream. I don't know. That sounds cool. Do this one tomorrow, and if you finish early, draw a cartoon. Okay. What is the first thing you focus when shading light or shadow? The first thing I focus on when I'm shading light or shadow. So the first thing I focus on is the overall, like a simple value, like a middle range value, and I fill that in around the light, and then I work on the edges of the shadow and the light. That's where I put most of the details. Part 3? Okay, we're going to do part 3 tomorrow. Alright, so I'm going to continue on this one a little bit more today, and I'm having fun with it. I kind of feel like I'm in a groove a little bit. I'm getting sidetracked with all the stories, I'm sure, but yeah. And you're not joking about the cartooning part? Alright, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what kind of cartoons I don't know. I haven't drawn a cartoon in a while. What kind of cartoons? Like funny cartoons? Weird characters? Or just anything cartoon? Maybe I should just draw what I feel. Just draw like my emotions or something. I'm trying to remember the name of the artist that made a video where he was just drawing his emotions, I think. He's a really cool character. I forgot his name right now. I'm blanking hard. I keep doing that when I'm drawing and I try to remember somebody's name. That seems to be the part of the brain that shuts off when I'm like drawing. Is it Jeffrey Draws? I can't remember that guy's name. He's so interesting though. Let's see. Let's go to do a little bit of texture on this side as well. Just having fun with the earring. And I can see a little bit of a kind of highlight cutting through. Let's see. I want to get some texture in the hair. This area of the hair is in the foreground the most, so it's going to have the most texture. So it's like very complicated. Just take it one area at a time. Obviously, I'm not gonna like break it down into exactly what I see. I'm trying to do what I feel as far as the texture versus what I'm seeing. And I don't know if that makes any sense at all. Here, that's where we start using the eraser too. Pull out some highlights in the general shape of a coil, and then I can kind of wrap that around. a really pretty one right there, right above the earring. And then it kind of gets smaller. So pull the highlight out, and then I come on the edges to pull out a darker value, and then wrap it around. Let's see. So tomorrow is part 3. Okay. I'll save the save all that hair stuff for tomorrow, and I'm gonna go back into the face for now. And I feel like she needs a little bit more of a plane change, flat area right here. Maybe hit some texture a little bit. I'm looking at the image on my computer to the side over here because it's like really small, and when you see like you're drawing in a small little like square, you can see the values really well, and you kind of like, you can see mistakes too, like areas that are popping out a little bit too much, catching too much attention. And I think that's probably why when I post on Instagram I immediately hate it, because like all of a sudden I can see all the value changes that I missed or something. That's probably why. You can see like this little pocket right here, and I see it in the reference, and I know it's light reaching through the hair and hitting the forehead and bouncing back out, right? But it's too strong of like, when I squint down at the reference, that's actually like the main focus, is because of that really strong light, and it's surrounded by really, really dark value from the hair and the shadow of the hair. And if I try to mimic that here, like I see it, it's going to distract from the rest of the drawing. So you have to make a little strategic decisions, like, do I want to do that, or do I want to manipulate it to where I'm in control? Like, I control it for the sake of the drawing and what I'm trying to achieve. So I had it, originally I had it out to about the value that you would see, but actually that's not too bad. Earlier it was pretty bright, so I had to push it down a little bit. So I'm going to leave that the way it is for right now in that area, and I think when I get more texture around here, and then this might be able to be a little bit lighter in value. But I'm just trying to say it depends on what you're going for, and you have to look for places that you might need to change things, because we're trying to make a good drawing versus a photo copy, basically, right? So I might be trying to convey a feeling with this one. I'm trying to definitely do like more atmosphere. I want to feel like, I don't know, like it's not just about the portrait, but it's also the whole thing, like the background playing with the foreground. And that's why I have like pieces missing, like the earring kind of gets really soft and attaches itself to the background and feels kind of like mysterious, and maybe, I don't know, That's why I like those empty shadows too, those really hollowed out shadows for that atmosphere kind of a feel. Let's see. So her jowl is catching highlight, or catching reflective light in reference to the eye, about right here. I'm gonna use a clean portion of my thumb and I'm gonna try to pull out some of that value. So you see how like just a little bit of a smudge kind of pulls out some of that value. And then if I don't like it, it's a little too rough, I can come in and just do tiny little circles with my pencil and fill in little hot spots and get little transitions. Another way, I talked about this before, is if I want to get a really smooth transition in a certain area, I'll flip this guy over, and so now I'm not looking at a portrait anymore, I'm actually thinking about the value changes. So I see like there's a dark spot right here, and right here, and maybe I don't like that, maybe it looks too gritty to me. Maybe I want a lot of texture in the hair and I want the skin to look glowing and smooth. So turning it upside down, I can see the values a little bit better, the transitions, and I can come in and kind of smooth out those little rough areas. And little tiny circles on the very, very tip of the pencil. And just try to blend those transitions. And usually when I'm into a portrait heavy, doing this kind of technique, I'll listen to a podcast or some music, or just hang out with like my girlfriend and just chit chat. It's kind of like, it's not, what do you call it? It doesn't take a lot of brain energy like when I'm trying to talk, but it's just kind of like a flow state, just going around, picking out little areas that are too dark and filling in areas that are too light. So I'll go back, but I'll be doing that later for sure. Alright, so this is about an hour and a half. I think this is a good spot to go ahead and call it for the day. Thank you guys for coming, I really appreciate it. Check out the Patreon. I'm going to do a weekly exclusive Patreon live stream, and I got some stickers coming in, and I'll probably give those away, maybe a t-shirt or two for the Patreon people. Also check out the t-shirts. I got t-shirts, and check out the facial drawing anatomy course. The course is up and running. It's doing pretty well. Like I said yesterday, or Christmas Day was like a Christmas miracle for me. Sold 8 of them on that day, which is like an all-time record. Usually I'll get like 2, maybe 3 a day, but that was really awesome, and I really appreciate it for you guys who picked one up. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So make sure you draw. Don't just buy it and hold on to it. Make sure you actually go through it and draw along with me in the videos, because there's so much information in it. I would suggest also like in the dissection lab that I have, and so when I do like the muscle dissection of a face, so we'll do like a reference image like we have here, something similar, and then we'll go in, do the basic lay-in of the face, which is also a good exercise, and then we'll go into the muscles. So we'll do a dissection diagram basically of the face and label everything. So it's really good to make that yourself. So you can watch it, draw along with me, pause it, whatever you need to do, and then once you have it, you have all that information, you have all the names of the muscles, the really important aspects of them, how they change the shape of the face, the surface anatomy, and then you have that so you can like hang it in your room like a reference poster, and it really helps. So I have that one for the muscles and the fat pads, dissection labs. So yeah, check those out. And I already added, last week I added another portrait to that course, so now there's 2 portraits, full uncut demos. One of an old man, Jim, where you can see all the anatomy, all the fat pads, and then a young woman, Gia, which is very subtle, and I think I drew her with like a sweet expression. So yeah, just check those out, and I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to do part 3 on this one, and maybe a cartoon. All right? I think Saman wanted me to do a cartoon. Let's see. Cool. Right on. Good to see you guys. India's in the house. Probably Brazil. I think last time Germany was in the house. Let's see. All right. So yeah, check out the course, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys. I gotta find my button. Last time I cut it off too soon. So I'm gonna wait till I wave and then I'll hit the end button. There.